Off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, and more, because it is my job to splatter more hope and happiness on you, especially in the morning now. And today's no exception, and I have a very special guest who's going to play co-host double whammy, double show with me today. Her name is Penny Zenker, and her show is called
Take Back Time. I'm excited to interview Dr. Marissa as she's going to, our Asian Oprah, right? She's going to introduce us to her idea of happiness. And she's got some incredible strategies and ways that she looks at things. And it's really all about getting new perspectives, and something is going to click with you that she says, and you're going to be able to put that into practice right away. And it's going to change your life, and it's going to change the way that you show up for your time. And at the end of the day, that's the way you're going to be more productive, more successful, and more fulfilled in your life. So without further ado, Marissa, introduce yourself.
So thank you, Penny, for having me on your show. My name is Dr. Marissa. The doctor comes from a PhD in organizational psychology, which is by education my field of expertise, which just means that I work with human dynamics at work. So power, politics, externally placed egos, or peripherally placed egos, conflict, miscommunication, things that I'm sure never happen at the companies that you work with, Penny, or that I'm involved in. But it's a wonderful field because it lends itself very easily to talking about, why people do weird things at work, and why is it so stressful at work, and why do a lot of people hate their jobs? And that led me to, as an executive coach, to begin to track very successful people and how unhappy they are, which led to the book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, including my own story of how I'm so on the outside very successful, but on the inside very broken. And so that book, I'm grateful that went number 1, number 4 on Denver Post. And actually, Penny was very instrumental in helping me with that release. I was in my car and she did that beautiful interview, which is why I'll always be grateful to her. Because when she says, let's do something, I say yes. And that's why we are double hosting them. And Penny and I have been longtime friends. We actually met at CEO Space International, where I'm on faculty. And I just wanted to take a minute to recognize the founder of that largest entrepreneur organization, who we lost, no thanks to COVID, Bernie Dorman, and just with a breath of absolute love, peace, and comfort to those who have been missing him, ourselves included. So a deep breath in and releasing all that peace and love. And thank you for that. We do miss you, but I know you are in heaven with my dad, just loving us from there and laughing at this upcoming interview where we do 2 shows in 1. And Penny's going to introduce herself now. I have a friend, she doesn't have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, she says, who are you and what do you want?
Well, let me answer that in 4 weeks. We'll be here for 4 weeks when I describe who I am. No. So I am a focusologist. And it's been a common theme that I've seen in everything that I do whether it be look at aspects of time management and productivity, whether it's communication, whether it's thinking outside the box, all the areas that I speak on internationally and that I train on, all have to do with where we decide and choose to put our focus and the huge difference it makes in terms of the result that we get. So that's why I've called myself a focusologist, because it was like this realization that that's who I am, that that's how I look at things and appreciate the world. And my background comes from, I was in technology, and I started my own business and built it up from just me to a multi-million-dollar business and sold it to a public company. And it was all about understanding how technology could help us to work smarter. And I loved it. I loved that aspect of helping us get to the next level and using technology to support us in doing so. But I realized as I got through my career that it wasn't just, sometimes we had the solutions, like we knew what to do, but we didn't do it. So much like you, Dr. Marissa, it's human behavior that I started to put some additional focus on so that we could actually get to the next level, that not only putting in the systems, but implementing it and putting it in the mindset systems that needed to be changed as well. So I feel very grateful that I was able to work for Tony Robbins and coached some of his clients all over the world as one of his top business coaches with business breakthroughs. And, through that was able to help people with skills and the mindset aspect. And beautiful. After I produced my own best-selling book, as you had talked about, I supported you in your book. I have my own best-selling book called The Productivity Zone, Stop the Tug of War with Time. I also was very fortunate to be invited to speak on a TEDx stage and got to share my thoughts on resiliency, on the energy of thought, and just some incredible experiences that I've had through working in this work.
And you've been on NBC before, so this is not the first time you're going to be on NBC. I'm trying to talk her into having her own show here because I think she would be absolutely great. Fred, my boss, the station owner, because he's like, I want good people. So I definitely, whatever Penny's saying, pay close attention to this interview because it's true. It's one of those really interesting things when we know what we should do. It's not rocket science, right? We know that we should make that call, or we should put our resume together, or we should try that interview. And for some reason, we get overwhelmed. Yeah. And like
we
completely
don't do it.
Like, yeah, what, why is it hard? That's perfect. For those of you who are listening now, she has great goggles. You'll have to get my YouTube channel show after this so you can see that. But so that'll be my opening question. Why is it that people have, we know how to focus, right? Focus. We know how to prioritize and we don't do it. What is that?
Well, it's interesting. I wonder, I think that some people don't know how to prioritize because of the emotional connection of wanting to please everyone, right? It's really a lot of the challenges that we have is what gets in the way. So when we know what to do, but we don't do it, the question is because we're not clear of what's in our way. Those emotional blocks that say, oh yeah, but I want to say yes because this is going to mean a lot to that person. And so we're going to sacrifice ourselves and our sanity, knowing that we're not really sure how we're going to do this, or it's not in our highest priority. And we do it anyway, or we just make a lot of assumptions that, wow, this must be due tomorrow. So I'm just going to work late and pump this out, when we could simply ask a question to say, when do you need this by, and find out it's really not as important as we thought it was. So I think the key, and I learned this from my mentor many years ago, and there's actually a great story around it, but maybe I'll get to share it, maybe not. But it's about finding what's in the way. That great leaders, that's their job when they're working with their teams, is not to motivate them, because my boss always said, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to remove the obstacles that stand in the way from your motivation.
Interesting. And I do want to hear that story, but we do have to take a station break for the NBC News. So we'll be right back. You are tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. And this is a show that highlights what's good about the world, what's good about you, what's good about me, and how to bring that best us out. And so today, my guest is Penny Zenker, who is a focusologist, and she's here to help us be the best that we can be. And she's about to tell me a story of what she learned that really made a difference to her.
I have to share with you real quick. While you were saying that, you brought up Bernie. Like up till this part of today, I have had I had an awful week last week. And I just had like a crazy good day with like some incredible opportunities that came through to me. And the fact that you mentioned Bernie, and I just sort of saw his face while you were doing that he's like, I got your back. So thank you. Because I feel like, you know how sometimes you just get that intuition or that feeling that like, so his energy is definitely with us. You felt it. And as you said that, I felt his presence. So thank you.
Oh, my blessing.
So actually, I shared the punchline of the story because I didn't know I'd have a lot of time, but I'll just back up a second to that punchline because there's actually two parts to the story, but I want to just share that part because it's about what's in the way. So this great mentor of mine, he had this knack of really listening to people. So you felt important.
What? Sorry, I cannot resist. I haven't done that for a long time. I know, boo-boo. With you, I can do it. When I have Corey Feldman on the show, I can't do that.
You can't make jokes.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, you know, I think it's important as leaders, right? That's one of the first things that he left me with is to really listen and let people feel heard. And so, you know, I would go to him when I was frustrated or challenged because who else would I go to, right? And, you know, he listened so intently. And I was always would go to him stuck and frustrated and having a challenge. And I felt like he had this knack. Part of it was in the listening, I'm sure, because just feeling heard sometimes allows you to let go and release of what is getting you stuck. But he had this knack, I thought, of just pushing the right buttons. I thought he was motivating me, or I thought maybe even he was using like hypnotherapy or some kind of voodoo, right? Because it was insane the way I would come out of his office and I'd be like purposeful, directed, energetic, like totally gung-ho, moving forward with what I needed to move forward with. And I had to know, like, what is his secret? Like I had to know, is he really manipulating me, you know, with some kind of hypnotherapy, or how did he know me so well? So I went in and I just said, Peter, I need to know. I need to know what your secret is. How do you know exactly which buttons to push so that, you know, I leave here in record time just feeling so inspired and motivated and clear-headed? And then he said that statement, which was, I'm not here to motivate you. I can't motivate you, you know, which is like the nya, you know, only you can motivate you. But what was really impactful was that second part, is he said, my job as a leader is to remove the obstacles that keep you from your motivation. So it's it's what are the obstacles? And that's been then my focus in my coaching is one of the first things that I do with executives, with teams, and in even in the work that I'm doing, with training, and is really to help people to identify what's in the way, what are the obstacles. So one of the things that I focus on first when we're talking about focus is what's distracting us. And so that's my short story there. But I'd love to turn that. You asked me a question coming into this as to why we don't do what we know, and I'd like to turn that around now as the interviewer and ask you. I want to ask you the same question. What's the main thing that you think is keeping us from, why we don't do what we know?
Yeah. So in the similar way. And I love this. I love the back and forth for
exactly.
sure.
You're letting your emotions, you're connecting, and you're exploring, right? I don't know about for you, but sometimes it's a question that you didn't even think of, and that you learn from what you're hearing through the question, and a new answer that comes up. You're like, wow, yeah, I just had a new epiphany myself here.
Right. Exactly.
So maybe we can start with a question around happiness. This is something I've been exploring lately, and maybe you've been thinking about it or not, but I'm curious as to, people who have scarcity in like mindsets in their life, right? That's something that keeps us from being happy, from getting to the next level, and from being productive in the ways that we want. How do you see scarcity a block, and what's something that someone can do to remove that so they can be happier, so they can be more abundant in their life?
That's a great question. Scarcity and lack and limitation are BS belief systems that, especially in America, we grew up with. So money doesn't grow on trees, dog eat dog, rat race, climb your way to the top. There's only, few at the top, the hierarchy, 10 people apply for a job, one person gets it. So we're taught that there's only so much, and you better work your assets off to get your share before someone else gets it. And that's where scarcity comes from, right? And we all, we grow up in that. Our parents inadvertently instill that in us as a way to motivate us to go out and get ours. But the reality is we live in an abundant universe. There's an unlimited, energetic plethora of what I call, let's go up, unlimited possibilities, #UP. So how do I know that? Well, I just know when I wake up. I know when I wake up that the planets did not crash into each other and I'm alive. I know that when I look out, I'm grateful I get to see the ocean of abundance, that every single droplet of water is different than the one beside it, and it's limitless. The variety is limitless. The grains of sand, the blades of grass, the leaves on trees, all 7.3 billion of us are uniquely, abundantly wonderful, one of a kind, amazing. And so when I choose that belief system, when I choose my own rose-colored Kool-Aid, what happens is it opens this doorway into abundance. So it's not like I was given a bunch of stuff, which I am, but it's not because I see that I believe it. I actually believe it, and then I see it. And that is a law called the law of attraction. And if those of you think it's too woo-woo, tough baloney, it is just like the law of gravity. It works whether you believe it or not. My easiest example is if you've ever wanted to buy a new car and you say, let's say, okay, I'm going to get a Jaguar. All of a sudden, when you're driving, you see Jaguars everywhere. Now, did everybody get a memo saying, they all want Jaguar? No, but because of your BS belief system and the power of focus, I now have created this reality around me where there's an abundance of whatever it is. So we can turn easily from lack and scarcity to abundance by changing our focus and our mindset to say, I'm going to use the most powerful tool I have in life, and it's the C word. It's not commitment. It's not compromise. It's not collaboration. It's called choice. And the number one downtrodden, what's keeping us all down right now is we've abdicated our most powerful muscle of choice to whatever you're scrolling in the morning, whatever you pay attention to, whatever you're listening to. You're allowing media, and I know I'm media, but I'm not that media because I want to bring you good news, but you're letting media control what you pay attention to, what you're focused on, what you're attracting. So all the negative lines, when it bleeds, it leads. So all the horrific stuff that you continue to see, and who fell off the beam, and who's not participating in the Olympics, and who is dying, and what is falling apart in the world, that becomes your automatic focus. You're lazy in using your muscle of choice. So if you really want to be happy, that expression #choose happiness is no joke. You can literally choose happiness, but you have to take back your antenna so that you're not walking around going, who loves me? Who likes me? Who commented on me? Who thinks I'm great? Instead, you have to choose, I'm going to believe what I believe about myself first. So who are you and what do you want? That's why that answering machine question is so important. Sorry, long answer, short question.
Yeah. Well, it brings it down, as you said, to pull out the pieces for, where I stand, on, you said it's a shifting your focus, right? And I want to highlight or build upon what you said, because you said it so beautifully, is that when we're in lack or scarcity, the choices that we put out for ourselves are different than the choices that we put out for ourselves to choose from when we're in abundance mode. So we want to think very carefully of what we want to focus on, because that will determine what our choices are and we've chosen those choices, right? So, but at the same time, different things show up, right? You're going to listen to different programming depending on where you're coming from and what you're focused on. So if you're focused on, the numbers are growing of COVID and, the Delta variant now, and right, and you're focused on all that's challenging and uncertain, and then you're going to find more of that because that's what you're going to be looking for. And if you were to shift your focus and look for, who is thriving during this time, what are some new innovations that are happening, you're going to be filling yourself with completely different content. So, and that goes for any area of our life in terms of how we're building our businesses. Are you innovating, or are you, surviving or thriving, right? So that's really the difference in my opinion, from that look of focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you a practical question. So if I have listeners all over Southern California, 5 million homes, driving right now to work, and some of them are probably overwhelmed now that we're peeking out from the pall of the pandemic, as I call it. And so they have things like, so I have kids now that are half homeschooled, half trying to go to school, not sure if they're going to go to school. I have a job that wants me to be at work. I'm not certain that I want to go to work, but I need the paycheck. And I also have parents who are, not doing well, and COVID, no COVID, Delta variant, they're vaccinated, but now there's stories about the vaccination not working for the Delta variant. And then I have my relationship is blowing up because we can't handle the stress of all of what's gone, and we took a huge financial hit. And what do I focus on? You're the focus expert. What does someone who is going through, probably a million people that are going through exactly what I just said, how do I start?
So I'm going to go back to something that people may have heard from Stephen Covey, and something we mentioned earlier about control, is that what I see happening in businesses, in our personal environments, with all that you said is going on, is that we have a tendency as humans, right, to want to create control, to find control, especially in times of uncertainty. But what happens is that we get drawn to try to control things that we can't control. So, and then we exhaust ourselves, giving all of our energy and our attention and everything that we have trying to control that, and filling ourselves up with what we can't control. And it just creates more stress and more overwhelm, and gets us in that place where we just want to crawl into a ball and and sit there for
eat ice cream and bonbons. And
absolutely. Right. And so where we start is we identify and stop giving our energy and our focus to the things that we can't control, because what that's doing is it's sucking our energy away and creating some learned helplessness in the areas of the things that we can control, because then we have no energy, nothing left to give. And so we have to shift those circles, right? If Stephen Covey uses the circles, and he shows like this giant circle of things outside of our control and inside, what's in our control. And so we have to decide our focal point and shift it so that the majority of our attention, focus, energy is going towards what we can control. And that would be what do our children need to be happy and to have that environment? How can I communicate with my employer about what's going on with me so that I can create the best solution for myself, right? I can ask questions. I can ask for help. I can, organize my environment around me so that it best supports me. So I think that is the most important thing, is to kind of do an inventory of where am I now, like anything, right? If you're going to go on a diet, you're going to do a financial plan, you're going to say, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And where's the gap? So where are you now in terms of where your focus is, and where do you want to be? And how do you get there is just by determining, okay, I'm going to set some rules for myself and some boundaries, right? That might be a practical thing to do that most people today are saying, I can't set boundaries, right? I'm working all the time, much more than I ever used to work. So a boundary and a rule to create for yourself might be to set start and an end time to your day, and then to put some things into place to hold you accountable for it. So put an alarm. I have an alarm that goes off at 5:30 because I can be a workaholic. I love what I do. But if I don't have a tap on the shoulder and then something else, is before you know it, it's 7:00 and nobody's made dinner, right? And that happens. So, and it may not work 100% of the time, but like you might say, if it works 88% of the time, that's pretty good.
That's good enough.
And that's what we want to get to, is good enough. So we want to set rules for ourselves. We want to create filters that help us to block out things that don't serve us. And then also we want to look at how we can support ourselves in our environment. So I like to give people some highlights into those three areas: rules, filters, environment.
That's great. That's absolutely great. This is a law of attraction happening as we speak, because the question you had before that, the thought came on my mind is, I think we should talk about Stephen Covey's circle of concern, circle of influence. And then you said, I'm like, oh, that's the law of attraction at work right now.
There you go.
So There you go. So I'm going to just add to what you just said and combine it with the law of attraction, and to say that I never heard it said that we have a tendency or are attracted to try to control things that we cannot control. I like that.
Thank you. My discoveries in my studies and my observations of things.
That's so interesting, right? Because you've got all of this stuff you could be doing, but what are you going to do? You're going to spend time complaining about things that you have absolutely no control about, right? What's happening in Florida or whatever, all of that, and right. Fretting about it. So I would just add to that one of the Happy 88 tools that I have that helps with controlling the things that you can is when you focus on things that are working well, when you are focusing on things that are actually working. You have food in the fridge, you have a wonderful comforter on your bed, you have a roof over your head, you have a little money in your wallet. And when I force myself or cajole myself into not paying attention to Florida or wherever it is that I have no control over, and move it towards being grateful. And that's why I say, take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. 8 specific things in the morning that you're grateful for. It sets a tone for you to automatically begin noticing things that are good. And what happens when you notice things that are good? More things that are good show up. And that's just the law of attraction, whether you believe it or not. Then at the end of the night, 8 specific things that you are appreciative of yourself. So you hone your muscle of self-appreciation, which then provides that foundation that you can control the things that you can. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. I believe that gratitude is the secret to happiness. So because I've been doing a gratitude journal which started out from one of the most difficult times in my life when I was getting a divorce and my kids were 1 and 3. And I just felt like, not only did I get punched in the stomach, but I was kicked while I was down, and nothing like that type of experience has its toll on your self-confidence and how you feel about yourself in those difficult times. So that's what I decided to do after a friend of mine says, oh, you should write a journal about all that he did you wrong and all the things that are bad. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like awful, right?
Hell.
Like, ooh, yeah. Like, why would I do that? I'm just going to be filling myself up with more of what I don't want. So speaking of Oprah, we've mentioned her several times. I was watching one of her Soul series, and she talked about, I think Elizabeth Gilbert or somebody was on her show that was talking about an abundance gratitude journal. And I thought, yes, that is absolutely what I'm going to do. And I've been doing it for more than 15 years now. And I totally 100% agree with you that when you're managing your energy, you're starting the day by looking at things that are good. And sometimes when things are challenging, it's hard to find those things that you can be grateful for. But the more you look, the more you find. And you become it becomes so easy after doing it over and over again that it shifts your focus, right? Away from being that victim of this is all that's not working for me. This is all to okay, actually I'm okay. And I've got these good things in my life and I could focus on them and build off of them. And it makes a difference to how you show up for the rest of the day. And I always say, and I know we're like totally sisters in the way that we think in these things.
Yeah.
Energy is contagious. Energy is contagious. When you show up at work, at home, and you've got that positive energy, that purposeful. Let me restate that, because it's not just about positivity. It's about focus is about being purposeful. And so it's about purposeful energy. And you're not always going to be in that place, but you can recognize when you're not and put these practices like you're talking about, 8 things in the morning, 8 things at night, or just when you recognize that it's not good right now, why not 8 things right now? So that so that you can decide that you're going to shift your focus and show up in a different way. So absolutely awesome stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, you can start your day over at any time. So you had a bad interaction, okay? Get pissed, jump up and down, release your negative energy, and then if you can say it with as little irony as possible or sarcasm, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. I say that all the time. That's how I came up with the book. I lost a $200,000 consulting project in my field. That was a big hit. And I jumped up and down and I went, and then I said, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. And the voice said, write. And I said, I don't have time to write. And the voice said, you do now. Has a sense of humor. So I started writing. A week later, I get an email out of the blue on LinkedIn. An email out of the blue from someone who said, we follow motivational speakers on LinkedIn. Are you writing anything? Are you kidding me?
Right.
So I sent them the 2 chapters, out of loneliness into hope, out of control into happiness, the last chapter. They sent me a contract 3 days later. So everything, and I just want to exclamation mark what you just said. It's not what happened to us. It's what happened for us. And here's the secret. If you can turn all the shiitake that has happened to you in your life, as Penny was saying with, what happened to her when her kids were 1 and 3, her husband sounds like my husband, not exactly, but we picked them. So here we go. If you can turn all the shiitake that happened to you into fertilizer that grew you, then life is a joyride. But if you can't do it, then life sucks. Life's a drag. Your choice, boo. Your choice.
A good friend of mine, Thomas Duncan, he brought this into my life and he says, pick your heart, right? It's hard to face difficult situations head on and make difficult choices, but that are better for you in the long run. It's hard to do that now. It's much easier to procrastinate or ignore it or choose the easy option versus the option that is good for you. But at the same time, it's hard to face the consequences of a ruined relationship or money down the drain because you didn't take action when you were supposed to, or that the consequences of not taking that hard action today is 10 times harder later. So pick your heart.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. So how do we find you? Whether you want to work with Penny or read her book. And I actually do an Asian Oprah giveaway. So for your show, anyone who's listening who would like a free copy of my audio book of 8 Ways to Happiness, only because it's on Penny's show, can go to drmarissa.life and in the subject line, put Asian Oprah giveaway, and I will send you a promo code for a free copy of 8 Ways to Happiness from wherever you are. There it is. La. Does it look like me?
Yes, it does.
So that's for your listeners. You can go to drmarissa.life and then please, free subscribe on my YouTube channel for all of these shows and my red carpet interviews with Halle Berry and John Travolta, et cetera, et cetera. But how do we find you, Penny?
Well, you can find me by going to pennysKeynote.com. And I invite everyone on there. You can see that there's a distraction quiz. So we talked about, let's find out what's in the way. That's something simple that you do have control over, more control than you think you have, more control that you give yourself credit for, because it's too easy to blame other people, circumstances, and say, that's why I can't block out these distractions. So let's get some clear awareness. You'll find out whether you're a wizard or a squirrel or a time zombie. And it'll just be a fun way to get some awareness and a greater level of ownership to say, I can do this. I can reduce the distractions. I can simplify things in my life so that I can focus and be purposeful on what I can control and what matters. So
one more time, the website.
They can go to distractionquiz.com or they can go to pennysKeynote.com.
Penny's Keynote, no apostrophe, Penny's, Pennys, keynote.com, or
Correct.
the distraction quiz.
Just distraction quiz, no just distraction
Okay.
quiz.
Distractionquiz.com. Give me a couple of questions on there just because, I love quizzes.
Well, so it's just asking you about your practices. So do you sleep with the phone next to you?
Guilty.
Distraction.
Even though I tell them, even though I tell my clients to plug it, I do plug it in the other room when I don't fall asleep with it. So there.
Understood. But the reason that it's asked for that, and then another question to follow that would be, do you check your email first thing in the morning? Because typically when it's right there, people pick it up and they check it. So you don't, but I ask your listeners and my listeners, do you check your email every morning? And why that's so important is because you start your day reactive. You start it on someone else's agenda because you're checking your email, and those aren't the highest priority items of your day. So that would be a big, that would be one of those rules that I talked about earlier. We would set a rule that rules aren't just what you do, they're also what you don't do. So this would be, I don't check my email first thing in the morning.
Cool. So, I'm going to go take the quiz, see how I do. So the last question that I always ask my guests, and then I'm going to give you a chance to ask me a question because this is a double show today, is to who and what are you most grateful for?
What am I most grateful for in this moment? I'd say in this moment, one of the things I'm most grateful for, a little bit challenging as well, but my son is writing his college essays, and I'm most grateful to hear him describe some of the great lessons of his life. And I'm learning some things about what was present for him that I might not have known. And even though he might not like me to help him with his essay, I actually am really grateful to be a part of that and guide him along that process and see his discoveries. So
beautiful. Yeah, we definitely share that. Mine just finished. One's in her last year at UC Davis, so I'm just one step ahead of you. But enjoy that journey. It's a beautiful journey. I love motherhood. Being a mom's my favorite job for sure. And you get to ask me one question.
Absolutely, and it's not always easy, right? So I guess my question for you would be, coming from a place of happiness, what would your most valued tip that either you give or you got that helps people to be more productive through being happier?
So the reason why I say 88% is I know if you're watching this right now, I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese, and 8's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homonym for good fortune. So double 8, 88% happy means you have the double good fortune and birthright to be happy. So if you can believe that, if you can just choose to believe that you have the birthright to be happy, that's half the battle right there. If you believe that other people deserve to be happy and you don't for some reason because of those negative messages, then you are shooting yourself in the foot. And you can do that. You may give me 1,000 million reasons why you think that you're damaged goods. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm looking at you right now, straight into the camera, that you are one of a kind, wonderful. You are loving, lovable, and loved. You're wrapped in a warm blanket of worthiness. And I know that for you. And I'm going to hold you to that until you can hold yourself to that. And just know that that is the truth for all 7.3 billion of us on the planet. And
I love what you said earlier, just to pull that together. You said, every drop of water in the ocean is different. Every blade of grass, every leaf on a tree, like that was powerful. And I think that combines with what you're saying now, right? Is that it's in that difference, right? That makes us beautiful, that makes us worthy, that makes us who we are. And I think that's really beautiful. And it reminds me of someone said once, this is someone we both knew that was going through all these challenging times. She said, she's just somebody who's happy for no reason. And it's okay to be happy for no reason, just because we are.
Yeah, beautiful. They said that about me?
No, it was someone, a mutual friend that,
okay.
a dear friend of mine. We were talking about a mutual friend that we knew who was going through a horrific situation in her life, and was just saying that she is happy for no reason. Like, she is just, you wouldn't know that she was going through what she was going through because she chose to be happy.
That's beautiful. That's a high compliment. I was trying to get that compliment for myself, because I've actually had people say that about me, but I'm not going to take it away from your friend.
No,
but I'm so delighted.
And you are one of those people, right? I mean, and you're helping spread that message. You're helping to help others to also be happy for no reason. And that is why I said that, is that was about that person. But I'm relating that back to what you're saying, and to you and to your message. So thank you for bringing that to us, because that is what makes us more fulfilled in our lives. That is what makes us more productive and work smarter and be more connected. And everything good that happens in our life happens from that place, that happy place.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Penny Zenker, for being on my show. You've been listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. Remember, it is all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live, reminding you to have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.